Hi, welcome to NDE TV. I'm Peggy Robinson. Today's guest is Michael, and he's not real sure about telling his story. So this is what makes him comfortable, and this is the way we're going to do it, right, Michael?
Yes.
Okay. So what happened? You were in a car wreck?
Yes, I was 17 years old. It was like 33 years back. And my brother and I, well,
It's okay.
all right,
You're coming back on.
okay, because I could still speak, I guess, right?
Yeah, what happened to your
The
picture?
video went off. I don't know what happened to the picture,
Okay.
but
Yeah, go ahead.
no, it's my brother and I, we were driving, and he was driving fast, and in the process of that, we end up getting into a crash, and we end up hitting a pickup truck that was the same coming out of a side road. And when we did, the truck had flipped over that we hit. It was on my side of my door. The truck flipped over, and our car is from my side. When it tilted side, when tilted to the side of the car, and it just ended up tipping on the side, and it was just flipping over like about 3, 4 times. And we careened right into a tree. And basically, I just remember it was like a roller coaster. Like I just seen everything just went black. And the thing is, I remember, we were in the car, and basically I just faded out. I just faded out. And as I faded out, I started to, I started, I started to, but it wasn't me. It wasn't me. That's why it's a little hard to like recognize. Like because I got like it's called an upload, where I got to take the memory of another individual. But in that time, when the car flipped up, flipped over, and everything went black on me that I could remember, is that the spirit went out of the body, and I was just above the body, watching that body come out. And in given time, whatever, because that does it is different from this time that we go on. And the thing is, that person that that spirit had just went into a light. There was like a shiny light on the one side coming out of the sky, and that spirit of Michael, came out, and he was just waiting or looking, and he went into like a shiny light. So he went into the light, and then a given time, I just went down, and I went into the body. And I just remember that when I was in the body, I woke up and I was like seeing like a few lights flashing, and then I basically went to sleep. And then I remember waking up in the hospital. And then later that I was confused of my surroundings. I believe I hit my head and I had amnesia. So later, you know, my family, my mother, my father, my two sisters were in the hospital, and my brother was crying out for me, saying, "Oh, Michael, I'm sorry, I'm sorry," and he wanted to see me. So basically, everybody came in there, and I had no clue on who any of these people were. I mean, I knew that they were my family, but I knew that they're not my family. They were only present, I was only present to the family of the body that I went in.
Did you have any other memories of this new person other than seeing Michael go into the light?
All right. Any new memories?
Like
At
any
that
old
point,
memories? Like, do you remember where you were before you took over Michael's body, or?
once I got in the body, I had amnesia. And since I was in the hospital that afternoon, all the way to the next morning is where I received the upload, and all my memory came back of Michael, and little bits and fragments of memory came back to me of, my spiritual name. So I started getting to recognize who Michael is, but I was just getting little bits and pieces of my spiritual name. And at that moment, I really didn't know where I came from. I just started, the more important was in the body that I'm in. But the next morning that, what do you call, that when I got my upload, meaning that all the memory of Michael is that my family was looking there, and my mother, she looked at me and she was looking in my eyes, and she just automatically said, who are you? You're not my son. And I just shrugged it off like, I'm your son. I'm just here, I was in an accident and I'm your son. And she's like, no, you're not my son. So my father was over there. My father argued with her and told her that she needs to leave. What are you trying to create? Our son just got into an accident. And what's wrong with you? It's not nice what you're saying. But the thing is, once I left the hospital the next day, in like a few hours, when I woke up the next morning, my memory started kicking in, and basically when my amnesia had left, that's when my upload happened, and that's where all the remembrance started to occur, like gradually, little by little. So basically, once I was home for a few months, I started playing up like on this Michael guy. But after a while, even my father, he's the same. I got to sit down with you because your personality is not even the same as Michael. Like, there's something weird. Like, I know you hit your head, but you're just a complete different person. Like, you were, you were very distant with everyone a little before. And, you used to the same, stay by yourself, be distant with the family. But now since you came back, like, you're all like, oh, I love you, and, giving us hugs and kisses. Like, this is not normally you. So, my father even later on caught on, but then eventually I end up explaining to my father, and I didn't want to tell him. But the thing is, I did end up telling him, but then he told my mom and he told everybody. And, my mother, she started going a little distant with me. So, because my father, he was an electrician, and he was always into magic. Like, he would do like card magic, and, just weird stuff, whatever. And he also was into a lot of like Nikola Tesla, and he was into the constellations, astrology. And for the first time, my dad's sitting out there and I'm explaining astrology to him. So I couldn't hide myself from my father.
What did he make of that?
He just says I don't know if I taught you that before, because you were never interested in any of that. And then now you're just picking it up. He goes, to me, it's amazing. And basically my father and we had an okay relationship. But my father, he said, no matter what, I don't care, because you know what, you're my son. And my father did ask, like, what happened to the soul of, Michael? And I told him, he decided to leave and go into the thing, like with you mortal people. I said, with you mortals, when you die, you get a choice depending on how you live your life pattern. And basically he chose to go into the light. And I said, I believe that some of you mortals don't get the chance to go into a light. How terrible you may have lived your lives, but he went into that light and I was watching him. So he just, but we just like went through certain things and he was just like, I just hope that he's okay and everything. And I was like, I don't know, because yous go to a different, you people, you go into a different realm, is because, your bodies are made of, certain energies, whatever, but you never get to understand, you never balance it in your life. So you have to go into a next stage for you to get into a higher dimension, even in spirit as well.
Is this what you learned through this download you were mentioning?
Yes, it's all come back to me. Yes.
So do you want to go into the download so I can kind of have some background of
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. When I just said download, we call it an upload.
Okay.
It's like, it's almost like if you hit your head and you have amnesia, and you may have amnesia for like maybe, like a few days or maybe a day. And then when, you wake up and now your memory just starts coming to you. But how it came to me was like flashes. It's like, I can't explain it. It's somewhat almost like the Koshnik records, without the angels singing and, the music is, it's just that it's automatic. It just like sort of flashing before me. And I started seeing like quick, like if you took a movie, like a 2-hour movie, and you just like whizzed through the whole movie in like about like 3 seconds. Like now you got the whole movie in your mind. You already know everything. That's how my upload happened, the next morning when I was in the body of, Michael.
And that was of Michael's life that you got that movie.
Yes.
Down.
Yes.
Upload.
Yes.
And,
Upload. Yes.
and you knew that was Michael and not you.
Exactly. But I had to play it off for a whole month, even when I came out of the hospital, I had to play it up, but I couldn't hide things because it is just
Yeah.
that I seen in the upload things, but not everything that I mastered was in the upload, because I also got bits and fragments of where I came from, and it just didn't fathom to me.
Where did you come from?
All right. Where I came from, which this is going to be a little bit weird, because I hear a lot of people when they talk about this ancient Samaria, Mesopotamia, and they mention with the Anunnaki. Well, the thing is, and they mention, they're from a distant planet, a mobile planet called Nibiru. But basically, I was born on Earth, over 60,000, 60,000, Earth cycles, how you guys like balance a year. And basically after a while I had left, but I was born a hybrid human, through genetics, what you would call the Adam and the Eve. So, but all those names were like all changed over different for, and I guess it's mastered for you to understand it better.
But if you were
But
born
there was
from Adam and Eve, like the rest of it, of us descendants, why are you hybrid? I'm sorry, I don't understand.
no, it's a little different because the stories that you're given is a little jumbled up to make it more humanistic. But there was a lot of, testings going on, making between the mortals, that what they call the hybrid humans. And, there was a few errors and they had to like redo it over. That's like when you got the typo negative blood, the type positive, And then later the confusion part was the RH negative, like the RH people and the O people.
I'm O negative.
Okay, well, I'm type O negative too, which means that the type O was more direct descendant from the Anunnaki. But see, the thing is, I have to get used to that name because it's like a slang name because it was a mistranslation. By the way, it's called Anunnaki, like it's Anunna, and it's like AN slit. How do you say AN
Huh.
dash NU/NA
It's funny how
or
close it is to
NS.
astronaut.
Yeah, but it's called Anunna, and also Nibiru is called Nibruki. But the reason, but I was in, I was in Nibiru. I'll just say it for everyone to understand it. When I was at Nibiru, when I left Earth, but this was over 60,000 Earth years ago, is that when all the hybrid testings were making, but the Anunnaki was there, the Anunnaki, and then we had the blue avians come there. They were the bird people. We had them, and then we had the Pleiades came by. We were working like with a lot of the other species, and some of the species were here for a different thing, and unfortunately my species was a very powerful species with technology, and we created a lot of wars.
Are you
So
saying you remember this?
yes.
What did you look like?
Well, I was probably around about 7.5 feet tall, and my name was and I looked like us because we were, the humans were made in their images. So, I looked like us, but I was just like 7.5 feet tall. And the thing is that I was just a lot older looking, because our bodies, we were trying to mess with genetics with our bodies and messing with the gene pool. So we can basically transform our bodies. So and that's the mistake because people think that we're reptilian, but because of our aging process, we would cloak our bodies to reptilian. We would cloak our bodies to like with the avians, we would cloak them like a bird figure. And then when we were here with the water, which water was essential for us, and we would cloak ourselves into fish beings. So, because our bodies were rapidly aging here. So we were trying to do a lot of technology, our technology, we had wristbands, we did it to telecommunicate, you know, other beings of ours was like on Mars, the moon. We set up, satellites there to communicate. And we were just basically, I, the human race was made basically to do slave work for us. But then later on, we put law codes down because we were born in the royalty. We have a civilization on Nibruki as well. So, but they were just like the people of Earth, like with a government. So we governed everything, but we came to this planet and then we started governing the people. And then later we gave them a governance system. And that,
What's the other planet
laws.
like?
It's just like it's just like like Earth. It's the
How
same
did
as
you
Earth, but
how did you get there?
okay. How did I get there? In given, you mean how did I get to Earth?
No, to this other planet. Did you go back and forth?
Yeah, we had ships. We had ships, they're called Starfleets. We had ships and we just like was going back and forth, But the thing is, when we were on, I was born later. through all the, what you call the biblical, remembrances of things, I was just born later after all the documented when, Lord Enki, my father, which he had many children, and my mother, she was made as a human hybrid, and she was what you would call the second Eve of the Bible, because there was two females. So mine, she was given a name as being like a daughter of Enki, but it was, we were born in Enki's wife called Ninhursag, and they did the test tubing, and her name just came Enkiara. So, and then later her name became, Eve, and that's through like the Zion, the Zion humans, which later, because when we were there, we were putting the people, in a certain piece of land called they were called the Adamu, the people, and we had them like in a land, and that was called the Eden, which is the house of judgment. So they were basically the workers. And then we had another alien race called the Igigi. They're the watchers, like the owls. And they came down and they were supposed to watch the humans. But when we left doing our deeds, off planet, on planet, reestablishing ancient Egypt, Mexico, different parts of the world, the Igigi came down and they started raping the, like they started taking advantage of the women. And then they caused a crossbreed of babies, and they call the baby is now called the Nephilim, and
Is
they were
all of this
giants.
in your memory since the
Yes.
death of Michael?
Well, there was never a death. Is basically we left. See, Nibiru has a problem. It's very ancient, and it is a mobile planet, and it has like two suns. But the thing is that we have volcanic problems with smog in the air. We tried cleaning the smog, and we had like about like 4 star fleets there. So the government has been trying to save the people, because some people over there, the Ananas people, they started dying or getting affected. They need a lot of medical attention because the planet became unsafe. And that's the reason why they came down to Earth here and chose this exoplanet. And we call it KI-1. We call it key for Earth. We call it Key 1. And when we came here, we mined gold from here so we could bring it up there to Nibiru and, establish like a bubble in the stratosphere, so the suns would not affect the ground so much, because it was causing eruptions. And like it's a little confusing. I'm not into astrophysics, but it helped, but after a while, like the planet was just so old, and it's there's a lot of earthquakes, and just a lot of volcanic activity. So basically one of our fleets had left Nibiru, and we went to Venus, and we joined the Galactic Federation of Worlds. And when we were in there, it's like over, a few hundred different species origins that work together to basically police the whole cosmos from the terrorists. So because, the terrorists are looking to come to Earth, and some of them are looking to abduct people, and some of them are looking just to take people, and their intentions are desperation, or their intentions are to steal the people's souls or to steal their genetics, because they see that the humans are very special, because they came from a hybrid of alien. I've just said, just call it alien, but they wanted to make babies with them, basically to reestablish their civilization, because some of these people, their planets are dying out. So basically, we're part of the Galactic Federation of Lights, but the reason why not many of us come to Earth is because a lot of people have negative thoughts on us, because my kind did make the human civilization as slaves, but it's a different kind of slavery. But our civilization, they love the humans. Like we know about the Great Flood, we know about all that, and the reason why wasn't because it was a punishment on the humans. It was because the Nephilim children from the Igigi, they were causing chaos and ruckus with all the humans. So basically, between Enki and Enlil, one of his other sons, is that they decided to bring the waters to this planet and to wipe the civilization out. But it wasn't Enki, it was actually Anu. I'm sorry about that. It was Anu, which is our basically king father. And he decided to tell Enlil to bring the waters to Earth, what they call Tiamat, and just to flood the people out, to wipe them out clean. But Enki, he intervened with Inanna, which are brother and sisters, their other king and queen, is that they decided to have them build arcs and stuff. And, because they did love the humans. So they didn't want them to die. That's why Inanna erased out of history, because she was so upset with the Great Flood that she actually left. She left the whole, she just left the earth and she went back to Nibiru, because she was so upset with her father, because in her eyes, she's seen it that he wanted to destroy what he made.
What have you done with this information? Have you found like information websites, that you can confirm what you believe?
I've seen a lot of the websites. I've seen a lot of the stuff, and I just basically kept it to myself. And a lot of stuff that you have here in your database is, some of it is correct, but a lot of it, most of it is all incorrect. It's like a mirror image. It's like what is correct is not correct. And that's because man that put it into the database either did it to be a victor so he could take on that glory, or it was just mistranslated and it was just put backwards. And not to scare everyone, to other royal members, other human royal members that was selected by what you call the gods, is that they just took it on themselves and called themselves gods. And in given time, is history just got converted over, and history just got lost, or history was taken by some of the victors and they didn't want to give it to the people. And then
people that are interested to learn more about this, do you belong to any Facebook groups or organizations where people can learn more?
Well, I do have a Facebook page, and on the page, it's just like how everybody else would have a Facebook page. And, I have some other star seeds that are on there. Some star seeds I see as complete false, that they're not really star seeds. They're just regular humans wanting to be a star seed. And also, they're also called light workers. And the difference between a star seed and a light worker is, for example, when the body of Michael died, when the impact took place and Michael's soul left, he left. And then I came in and I was chosen to come into this body. So, and it was also, is called a natural selection. And
so Michael did die.
He did die. The body impacted and he left, and he chose to move on. And that's where I came into this body, but it wasn't my selection. It was just what I would call a natural selection.
So what is your name? Were you told?
My name is Enkiara. And
In what year did you live?
see, the thing is, we don't go by years. We don't go by days. That was only mastered down, for our mathematicals.
But you remember
That,
being like 7 foot tall and an older person and living past
yes,
biblical days?
yes. But see, the thing is, I never died. When I was in the Starfleet, it's called the ASHTARs, the Ashtars, on their Starfleet homeworld on Venus. Is that when I was there, I basically would another, there was like a bunch of other civilization, aliens, you want to call it. There was like over 100 different other species, whatever. And I made a contract. I chose to come here and, help out the human civilization, as much as we can, you know, to get into Christ consciousness. But I had other things too. The reason why I'm here, like I'm also a spiritual warrior where I fight, I eliminate, the dark forces that live on this world that possess, where I can explain, like where people would understand it better, is the Illuminati. That we're here to destroy these parasites that like to invade and, go into the host so they could make terrible acts, like with September 11th.
How do you
It
destroy
wasn't,
them?
well, I used telekinesis, and I would draw them to them because they have like a stinky smell to them. I mean, to you, they look like human. It's almost like the movie They Live with Roddy Piper in it. It's like when he can only see them when he's wearing the glasses. They look human, but they're really not human. And they're another species of they're earthbound. They're
You're
earthbound
saying the
species.
Illuminati people aren't human?
While the leaders of them are not. And the thing is, and they choose a bloodline, the RH bloodline, and they created to punish the people, to make a religion. Because everything, your whole religion system here is all nothing based, and the is based nothing on the autobiography that Enki had made when he came here to
So are
this
the
world.
RH negative people good or bad?
What's that?
Are the RH
Are they
negative people good or bad?
Well, throughout the time, many of them got disrobed, and which are considered the Hasids, and a lot of them are RH because they are Zions. Like the Zion people, they're called the Nephilim in the Bible, the fallen ones. Is that you know the Hasids are good people. I just want to get that clear. The Hasids are not our enemy. They're good people, and they've been punished since the beginning of time. But they were not made. The RH people were not made from Enki's doing. They were made through crossbreeding of taking advantage of the human women or the hybrid women. So that's how they survived. And they just blended into society, but their masters, the how would I explain, the ones in control, is they the same established a base, established everything here on Earth so they could make government. They stole the government system, and they just like squeezed into it, and they just basically just started like destroying the population of people. And they were always making sacrifices. That's why they became kings and queens, and they would create wars on their religious ways. And it was their elixir, their sacrifice that they would do to so they could become powerful and just take souls. But the other RH people here, they're just as like, they're victims to this, just like everybody that are hypo.
Why
Or
were you put in Michael's body?
okay, is when I was on the Starfleet, when I made a contract to come here, basically my body was put into a stasis. And basically it was a spiritual stasis. It's like I was put like in a liquid base, and my body was put in there, and it's almost like what you would call like a human cryogenics. And I was put into there, and I was just basically sleeping. And that's how I had, elevated. And I just, was directed spiritually to come here. And the funny thing is, with the person I went to, it was a natural selection, and that's through the bloodline, and that's through royalty. And when I say royalty, I also mean not only from Nibiru, also from Earth as well. So, I mean, I can't explain all that because that was not my decision. It was just a natural selection. But yes, I remember just about everything. But you got to remember, I was here for 33 years, where I became adapted to the Earth civilization.
Since
So,
Michael died in the car wreck.
yes,
Okay.
I became adapted here. So, I mean,
Is there any way anyone can reach you if someone wants to talk to you further?
yes, I do have the Facebook page, and it's under, when you open it up, it's like with Starseeds. Oh, what I was going to say about Starseeds are called walk-ins. Like I'm called what mortals would call a walk-in. And light workers are people that are just like you or anyone else, where they're born in their body, and they just may have, got stimulated, and they're, like what you would call the modern hippies, is like they're just into peace and love, and light, and they become very religious. But a lot of us starseeds and, light workers, we are for the God thing, but we're not for the religious thing, because the religious thing is a very I don't want to try to intervene on people's belief systems, but the religious thing is just a terrible aspect, because you're made here like the native people, not to worship but to honor. And when you honor, you close your third eye, and you became like a slave. And basically the humans are beautiful people. And the thing is, basically, when you open and tap your third eye, you are a god, you are a goddess, and you are your own power. But most people here has not ever put themselves, balance themselves through meditations, crystals, and all that. And when I say that, it's we don't have anything to do with witchcraft. Witchcraft is just another, a bad thing to do through it's part of the religion anyway. Like,
What
you
do
got this.
crystals have to do with anything?
Well, a lot of witches and warlocks here, they use spells, they use certain things, but it's nothing different than the old pagan Christianized ways or Catholic ways, with lighting the candles, candle mass from ancient Egypt, but is crystals are a good thing, but you use them through meditation. But now the people, too many humans on Earth, they use this through not really only meditation, they do it through spells. And that's why they use witchcraft, like what they call dark witches, light witches. To us, this is just like very dangerous. It's like a Ouija board. It's just dangerous. You don't mess with that.
So
So,
religions are dangerous and witchcraft is dangerous, and
well, religion is not dangerous. It's just not good for your soul. It's not healthy. Is because when you do the religion, it's because the religious texts that you have now are nothing more than man acting as God. And you're given, like it says, like in the Bible, with the Judaism, that you have to the same, heed down to a what you would call a Jew today, a Zion. And that's not true. To get closer to God, you don't have to, kneel to the Jews, like to Israel or to the Jewish side. That's complete false. For
So
you to
what's
get
it
connected,
like having all these untraditional, to say the least, thoughts, beliefs, and living here? I mean, how does your family handle it? How do you handle it?
basically, it makes you an outcast. A lot of people, they're interested. I only told my family, my mother, my father, my siblings. I only told them, and in good given time, they all the same rejected me. And, they belittled me, made fun of me. Oh, like if you ever want to talk to God, go to Michael. He knows everything. Like they would just like mockery towards me, whatever, and just made fun of me. And the thing is, I basically took, I took a lot of the punches to it. But as I gotten older, I went back home and I took care of my father till his passing. And then once it happened, everybody just like pulled their horns out on me and just like disrobed me. Like they basically, I'm disowned from my family.
What do they mean when they say, if you want to go to God, go to Michael? Or what is your
Because,
connection to God?
well, how would I say? Because they can never understand. They can never understand the theory of God, and they believe in like with Jesus and Muhammad and Allah and the Lord Almighty, Moses, like they believe all that, and they're stuck, their memory banks are stuck on that. And they're like, oh well, if you want to go talk to God, you go through Michael because he knows everything. So I would
What's
just
your
like shrug it off.
understanding of God?
Well, well, my civilization was created as well. My civilization, they made the human civilization, but started them as slaves, but opened them free not to be slaves. Because we had to teach them how to walk, how to talk, give them a system for writing to speak in. We had multiple dialects, so we gave them a lot of languages. So it's the same thing like when our civilization was first created, another civilization had made us, and we were actually terrible because we were brought into slavery. The Nibiru people, the Nibiru, I mean the Anunnaki, the Anunnas, we were actually enslaved. So, but all that, we did some terrible things. We were like tough love, and we hurt a lot of species in our ways. But that's before we had our uploads, because all of us Anunnaki, Anunnas, we got to upload like where we went into a fifth. On Earth, you can only go to the fifth dimension because a lot of the humans right now are living in the second and third, some the fourth dimensions, which are not highly connected spiritually. But when you get to the fifth dimension, you could get into the Akashic records. People like Einstein, people like him that went to the Akashic records got a lot of things come to him, like Nikola Tesla. A lot of these people of Earth, they got themselves into the fifth dimension. Now I could be right next to you and you could be in the third dimension and I could be in the fifth dimension. It's not that you're going to die and have to be, is how you carry your light body. So,
So
that's
have you
for the
had
fifth dimension, the
involvement with God?
5D. Have I what?
Have you had involvement, since you can go through these other dimensions and what you're saying?
Well, it's not, see, it's a little confusing because the dimensions are not, what people think. The dimension basically is where your spirituality is at. Like I says, I could be in the fifth, I am in the fifth dimension here on Earth, but the thing is, but you may be in the third dimension, and
What
I could at the
dimension is
same
God
time
in?
take your hand.
Oh, it's infinite. It's infinite. But see, the thing is, we don't see God as a human, as a one entity, and we call God Christ. It's Christ consciousness. It's the same, like God is within you. God is not the same as you. God is like all the elements into one. God is the air you breathe, and God is within you. But see, a lot of people are not what you call Christ consciousness. And some are actually, but they have a confused thinking base on what, Christ really is. Like Christ of the Bible is not what you think it is. That's why it's called Christianity. It's because it was the victors knew all this, but they just remastered the religion so they could become their victors. And it just went right to the RH people, the RH, the royal ones, and it went to the Judaistic ways. So that's why the religious aspect was taken from ancient, what you would call modern day ancient Egypt. So basically the ancient,
go ahead.
all right. I was going to say, because if you look at ancient Mesopotamia, and then you got Egypt, then you got, Mesopotamia, Egypt, Greece, Greece, where there was a lot of stuff going on in ancient Greece and in Egypt. And then you got in, with modern Mexico, a lot of these different names of gods were actually the same people. It's just that their names was translated, like your name would be Joseph, but you go into Latin America, your name is Jose.
So do you have a
And then
Facebook with this name on it that people want to reach you? Or
well, I have a Facebook, and my Facebook, it goes under Nicholas DiChiara. So, but it's just just a regular Facebook. It's got my picture on it.
how do you spell that? People have trouble spelling to find you.
Well, there's DI, then it's CHIARA.
Okay.
And my, and the last, I use that last name, DiChiara, because it's actually Enkiara, which is my name. And that's what I mean. It was a natural selection. But I don't want to get too much into that, because the last name, Chiara, is from Enkiara, and it's, it's a very ancient name, like Apollo, the god, what you call the god Apollo, Apollo Clara. If you understand Santa Clara, from ancient Italy, these were star seeds. As Santa Clara was a star seed too, and she opened a religious door for women. She was, one of my people, one of what I call one of my kind.
I find that interesting. So close to Santa Claus.
Yeah, but the thing is, she was considered a witch, and they wanted to kill her, is because she actually we would call today, she was a saint. The Vatican decided to call her a saint, after her death, but she actually was the saint of television.
So you've done a lot of research into what you see.
Yeah, but see, our research is a lot different than what like the basic people, because you go to libraries.
Who do you mean when you say our?
When on Earth, the regular mortal people, they go onto a library, they go into a data system, and they got information within libraries, or the university, which is called the university. For you to go to school is to get universal knowledge. So, but you have those kind of data banks. Now, if you go to a native group of people, what you also call Indians, they're not Indians, the native people, they don't have libraries, they don't have things, they just share their stories to their kids, and that's how they know all their history. And that's the same way we do, but we have it all in our minds. We know everything.
Okay. Reason why I'm asking how people can reach you, because I don't understand any of this. As you probably understand, you probably get all the time. So
Yeah.
that's why, there are people though, I know, that are very interested and can understand. I'm just understanding that can
Yes.
understand this and maybe connect with you. And so, because I'm just like, what?
Well, the thing
What?
is, like I said, don't get me wrong. Like we love, my species. We love you. Like we love to speak. We love the species. And we don't want to say certain things. Like in a lot of your movies, there are other people like light workers and starseeds that did actually speak out, and it got sold into scripts, and they made movies on it. Like where they call the humans like monkeys, or they just call them mortals, and just like with the ancient Anunnaki, Anunnas, before when they would talk to the humans back in ancient Mesopotamia and and other places where we got our pyramid from Enki or through Anu, is that a lot of times, like when we would talk to the humans, we would have to tell them to shut up because their voice, the humans were very annoying because to us
That's
they just
me.
make a lot of sounds. And there's a funny story like in the Ark, like when Enki, he picked a favorite human and he brought him into the Ark, so he could save himself from the flooding. You know, Enki was in the ship, with his brother Enlil, which was a militant. He went into the Ark, the ship, and he made it. And he's just the same, like communicating with the ship. And the human looked at him and goes, "Oh, what are you talking about?" And he was like, "Oh, shut up, monkey. I'm not talking to you." Like, so there's certain things that are in the database here where people could go find through research. But the late Zachariah Sitchin, he did translate pretty good, but he Christianized it and he made everything in reverse, made the Anunnaki look bad. Because he was sponsored by the Vatican and he didn't want to lose his career. So a lot of this stuff about the Anunnaki are just misled and is misunderstood.
Okay.
So I mean,
Well,
and
thank you
it doesn't
for
hurt us.
coming
Yeah.
on and explaining this. It's all news to me. It's all Greek to me. So, but I'm sure there are people that will get it because I've seen them on my Facebook and different groups that talk
Yes.
about this. So, just because I don't understand it doesn't mean there are a lot of, people that can. So I appreciate you coming on because I know you are very reluctant and
Yes.
I get it. And,
And the reason why I said, because a lot of starseeds, what they do have in common is that they get rejected from their loved ones, and they get tossed aside. They get ostracized, they get fired from their jobs, and they got to just like be tight in their little suit and ties, and they got to be quiet. Once you start speaking anything like this, just like with Christians at work, you can't talk to religion and try to convert people over. Our job is not to convert. It's just that, try to make you into Christ consciousness. It has nothing to do with religion. So,
what does that mean?
when
Make
we
you
start,
into Christ consciousness.
that means
The
that
goal.
your creator, our creator is your creator. All the alien species that the humans know about, like with the Pleiades, with the Arcturians, with the from just other different species, whatever. Every species that was made through a Christ consciousness. So, I mean, there's alien species out there that are very egotistical, and they don't want to follow the Christ consciousness. And we find that out when we see it that way, that they're like, because they're high in egos, they can be considered dangerous and they could be considered terrorists.
Does any of
So,
what you're talking about have anything that's to do with what's going on today?
you mean today in the world? Of
Yes.
course, most definitely. Too many leaders in the world. They're just bad people. I'm sorry to say that. They're just bad leaders, bad government, because we have a lot of poverty, a lot of hunger, a lot of wars, is because, and sickness and illnesses, and everything is based on money, 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 and family power. Like every
Family,
president.
Oh,
well,
money, family power, like the big rich families.
yes, like the Rothschilds, like they own the banks, and they're also part of the RH clan. They're part of the Illuminati. Is that they're all running the world and they don't care. Like, for example, Africa. You got all the people in sickness and they got bad health systems, and nobody cares. Well, we do, but the government don't care. They want to see them suffer and die. They want to depopulate the whole civilization,
What is it with
for
this
their New World
RH
Order.
bloodline in government?
Well,
You know?
The RH bloodline is like the United States is basically connected to the royal family in England. And, the queen wants everybody to bow down to her, but, they don't understand because they're false royalty. And the thing is, they just impeded into royalty. And they've done it everywhere around the world, that the royal family in England, that they want you to the same, bow down to them and honor them, give them honorable days. But in actual reality, they're supposed to be given to the people.
I have noticed, I've done little polls in the past, and it looks like, just for my little polls, I mean, it could be wrong,
Okay.
but that around 85% of near-death experiencers are negative blood.
I don't know about that, but
I was just curious if it is true, because every time I would do this little poll of people say they've had near-death experience, what's your blood type? And, the RH negative blood is about 10%, 15 in the world.
yes.
Yet in near-death experiencers, it's around 85%. So,
Well, it could
are
be a
they,
natural selection. I mean, I don't know.
so, because reason why I started looking at is because I read somewhere that RH negative people tend to be more spiritual. And I thought, well,
That's false. That's false.
Hmm. So I thought,
who's
well,
more
if that's
spiritual?
true, then I want to know if they're more likely to have a near-death experience. And so
Well,
that's why I
RH
started doing the
people,
polls.
see, anybody could be highly spiritual. Everybody. It doesn't matter what blood you are.
Well,
But
the
I mean,
near-death experiencers that aren't negative blood got really angry really quick. They said, what are you trying to say? That if we were positive blood, we didn't have a near-death experience? Like, I didn't say that. I was just curious to know, are you more likely to be negative blood if you've had a near-death experience?
well,
Or
to
vice
my
versa?
experience, because I'm not a geneticist, but the
I'm not
thing is
either.
that I could just tell you right now, it doesn't really matter what blood you are today. It doesn't matter because we're blended in. But the royal people, they have a lot of incest going on because they want to keep the royal bloodline with
They want to keep
the
the
real
negative
RH,
blood?
the RH. Because
Yeah.
a lot of the royalty are RH, and they're part of the system to destroy the human civilization, to depopulate,
Why?
because they
Why?
just want to control this world. And you have a lot of a lot of them are living underworld. Like they got the short grays working with them. They got we call them the Nephilim repties. That the Nephilim, they're the Zion repties, which means that they blend in with you and me. They look like us. But like I says, if you see in the movie They Live, with Roddy Piper in it, it's almost like that. Is like they look like human to you, and they could be a police, they could be anybody, you don't know. And I don't want to try to scare anybody, but the thing is, most of them really don't do anything. But when they see highly spiritual people that walk within the fifth dimension, the same, like, almost run away. And they're dangerous because they also could use telepathy. So, us starseeds, we have certain powers that we could use, that we can communicate with each other, but now my job to eliminate is almost like what you will call like like a like an exorcism. I would never want to harm the human host that is being affected, but I would pull through telekinesis, pull the spirit out, and the same destroy the spirit.
The
So, and try,
spirit that's from another dimension that's not here?
Yes,
you?
well, it's here. It's in a different dimension, but we call them
Okay.
parasites. And
What some people
they
would say is possessed or demonic.
yes, yes. So, I mean, that's that's how they work. They sneak. They go into people's bodies and they take over when you become vulnerable, or they select certain people that are in power. Now, I can tell you right now, the whole world could get in peace and like very quickly. Like the Mexican president, like he's trying to clean up all the bad stuff from from being a bad government. They're trying to work it out, and it's going to take years. But we can stop poverty right now. We can stop sickness around the world right now, and that's by taking all of our powers through all the government systems and becoming
I think if
a
Mexico could get
one
rid of all
world.
the drugs, that would help because people on drugs seem to me like they're possessed.
Well, that's all through government. Just like over here, government, they send weapons and drugs into here to put into the streets. A lot of it's backhanded from the government. Like you get these people that live in the projects and stuff like that. A lot of these drugs that they're selling and getting are actually, brought here by the government.
So it's like, here's the drugs, here's the weapons, here's the hate on our media. Now go kill each other.
Yes. Yes.
Save us the
I'm
trouble. We
sorry to
don't
put
want
it
to be
that
the
way.
next Hitler and look bad.
Yes, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like, and people are victimized to this. They don't know, but like I says, the one way we can make the world better is stop looking at the color of our skin, stop looking, at our religion, stop looking at our
I don't even think
languages.
that's an issue anymore. I really don't.
I hope, I mean, from looking on the Facebook thing, it's still there, but it's not like it used to be like 20 years ago.
I mean,
It's
I
gotten
know
a little
really
better.
prejudiced people, and I get in their face, and I tell them what for. But normally, really, I just, from what I saw when I was a teenager and young adult, I saw a lot of prejudice because I'm Southeast Ohio. But even now, it's like, if it's there, they know enough to keep their mouth shut. And if they
Exactly.
do open their mouth to prejudice, there's a bunch of people ready to shove it down their throat, how out backwoods they are for being like that.
Yes, and it's basically that stemmed on their religious aspect. Like, oh, Jesus, like for example, Jesus is not a physical man.
See, I don't
Is
think religion makes people prejudiced.
Yes, is religion. Religion is actually part of it.
No.
And that's the way that man had contorted it. Like, for
See,
example,
I don't like this push against religion. I hear it all the time on my podcast. Against religion. It's like, okay, let's go talk down the drug dealers and the rapists, child molesters, and the crooked government. Let's just leave people through religion. Let's leave them be. That's my take.
No, as a matter of fact, I'll let you know right now. A lot of Christians and us Starseeds, we have a lot in common. As a matter of fact, even a lot of the some of the Christians even know that the Bible texts are not there for a religious aspect. They're only there for the consciousness of the love in there. Like, don't get me wrong, the Bible is a history book. Even though it might be contorted different ways to a certain culture, it's good, but it's not good to the same, like, to consume all the words to it is,
But what is
the
good?
meaning.
A Big
The
Mac,
meaning is
a
is
mask,
Christ,
a mandate.
Christ
What is
consciousness.
good?
No,
If
but
the
see, that's
Bible
all
isn't
done by the
good,
victors.
then nothing's good, is my opinion. So,
Well, here's the one thing: the Zions that run the world, they actually are against the religion.
I don't know what a
And the ones
Zion
that are standing,
is.
the Zion
I
are
don't know
like
what a
what they
Nephilim
call.
is. I don't know what anything you're talking about is. I'm totally
They're the victors of the world.
well,
And they're
I can't
known as
see
the
them.
Illuminati.
I can't see them. I don't know nothing about them. It's really strange to me, and I know, and you know that. You get a lot of resistance of what you're saying.
Of course.
Because it's not anything in our experience that we have seen, talked to, encountered. So you
But
know,
don't get me wrong,
I'm letting you get your story out there, and because I know it
Yes.
does resonate with people.
Yes.
But as far as me personally, I'm just sitting here. Okay,
No, the thing is,
this is your
I get
story.
along with religion, I get along with Christians, Muslims, Catholics, even Jewish people. Like I get along with them. And the thing is, like, I love them. They're beautiful people, and the thing is, my theory, what they call my theory, is not that distant from theirs. It's like you're Native American. They say, why do you worship? The only difference between you and me is you worship, but I honor. And to worship makes you
Even
like
let
into
them
a slave
worship.
mode.
Let you honor. Let this person light a candle. Let this person study the
But you know what?
cosmos. You know what I mean?
To
I
us,
don't care. What I care
to
about
us,
really is the violence, the making people
oh,
victims, the
and
infringe
you
on
you
other
gotta
people's
pray.
rights.
And you have to pray for you have to pray for that. Like the thing is too, people got to stop praying for themselves. They got to pray for the others.
Right.
Like that's why I said, like, don't get me wrong. I love Christians. I love the religious people, and we get along very well. That's like the difference between like a Jew and a Christian. Like they believe that Jesus was, a son of God, but the Christians believe that he is God. It's the same theory, but just the same, it's a different way, but they get along.
Yeah.
And my thing is not anything against religion. My only thing is for you to get Christ consciousness. And what does that mean, Christ consciousness? Love yourself and love your enemy. Don't do any harm, make peace, and your vibrations will tap into other vibrations and send that love to everyone else.
And that's pretty much the consensus of all religions, really.
Exactly. And that's why I said my goal is not to knock any religion or not like that. Is just learn to love yourself and others.
Okay. That is a
And
great place
that,
to end. That's a good message. Like to
yes.
end on a happy note. All right. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, as well. And thank you for having me.
Uh-huh. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. Thank you.